Hey, so a little thing that's a big thing about the biggest thing hit tonight, and I kind of need to talk about it, I guess. So I'm here, but it ties into a number of other things. As I said previously, I lost my dad in December, and my dad was the most important person in my life. And then I moved into not only my childhood home, but the room that he passed away in. And the little thing that kept driving me nuts, the one thing that had to change in order for me to be in this room, was how it smelled. It smelled like my dad. And grief can only happen so much before your body turns it off. And smell is one of the strongest sensations that can remind you of somebody or something somewhere. So I knew that if anything had to go, it was going to have to be the smell of the room. I kept burning wax scent things in my room, and I drowned out the smell, changed the smell, cracked the windows, turned on the fan. I rewashed all the comforters and the blankets and everything, and eventually now when I come into the room, I don't smell him. It may still be there. There may still be a scent, but at least I've, grown desensitized to it. Or kind of so I thought. The house is full of bins and boxes of things that we took out of the bedroom because my dad was a bit of a hoarder. Not quite enough to put you on the show hoarders, but enough to drive all of us to insane. I mean, just ridiculously insane. Especially since, we had to go through everything to try to find a will that didn't exist. It sucked. We were trying to go through some stuff tonight, and we discovered the outfit my dad had laid out for himself the night before he passed away. A pair of jeans that he already fed the belt through the loops for, and put a clean handkerchief in the back pocket, because that's Dad. And they were still really stiff from being on the line, because my dad line dried as much of his clothing as possible to save energy, both financially and for the good of the earth. And I picked up this little thing. It just smelled like Dad. I'm having a hard time grieving. I'm not letting things out the way that I'm supposed to, but it's not, from lack of trying, I guess. It's just as soon as it starts hitting, it hurts so bad physically that my body's like, nope, you're done. And then I go numb. So when it does hit, it hits hard in these little bursts. And those little bursts are a little thing that's a big thing. I miss him so much. And the pain makes me nauseous. Makes me not want to eat and eat everything. It's so confusing. It's so confusing. But like I said previously, losing my dad is one of the biggest catalysts for me to get back on this wellness journey. We don't know why my dad passed away. He was 66 and he passed away in his sleep. He has a history in the family of heart failure and strokes. His dad never woke up from heart surgery when I was about 4 or 5 years old. He was like 89. And because of, I guess, the pandemic, if there's no foul play, no suspicion of overdose or suicide, they don't do an autopsy. I don't know if that's normal, but it doesn't feel normal. Especially with, the possibility of these issues being able to pass on to my brother and any kids we may have, So I'll never know exactly why he passed away. He was the healthiest of all of us. Honestly, he had willpower that none of us had. Always made me wonder, like, are we really your kid? Because you can say no to food like no other, and I'm sitting here like, crying because I want a brownie. And he was an incredibly hard worker, a laborer, a carpenter, and he took care of as many in the community as he could. And we'll never know why he went. But life is short. Life is very short. And it's important that we take care of ourselves while we can. I stand by. It's alright. I have my dad's deviated septum, so when I blow my nose, it sounds like a foghorn. Oh, you should hear him do it in church. But anyway. So, I've been thinking, of all the things that I haven't done that I need to do. My entire family is looking at, making wills and things like that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we need to prepare for death, but I'd like to live life while I can. We don't realize that's what we're doing day by day. We don't realize that, we're letting, 24 hours worth of opportunities go by. We don't look at all of the opportunities that we let go. It's really sad. My dad had a broken music box sitting next to the TV under it on a shelf that he gave me when I was a kid, and we won't go into how it got broken because I don't want to put blame on here. But the unicorn head was missing, part of the castle was missing, but the sparkly rainbow was all still intact. And I was like, this thing's covered in dust. It's disgusting. I'm gonna have to sit here and clean it off. And why did Dad keep this? It's just this little broken music box, It's not even it's just more like a snow globe kind of thing, but without a globe. And I took an old toothbrush and I cleaned it off, and I was like, what song does this play? And it played Somewhere Over the Rainbow from Wizard of Oz. And I remember, watching this when I was a little kid and just being enchanted every time it came on the TV. And when I came out when I was 14, and then my parents were told a year later, school kind of found out first, and my friends, and even the people who weren't my friends found out, and then everybody else found out. And I remember my mom taking my dad out for dinner to tell him because she wasn't sure how he was going to take it. And he's staunchly Catholic. And we never discussed it. never discussed it. But my senior year for Christmas, after my mom had left, I wasn't really sure what Christmas was going to look like that year. Because, I was getting ready to go off to college and all of this stuff. And half of my presents were rainbow. I had rainbow, dorm sheets. I had, a rainbow mug. I had all sorts of stuff. And I just, loved them. But we never really talked about the potential meanings behind all of this. And, a couple years later, I proposed to my ex-fiance in his living room. And he was all excited for us, in his own quiet way. And sometimes it's those little things that are very big things. Because his love for me surpassed so many previously held beliefs. And this continued throughout my adult life. And, even when I started adding men into the mix, it was actually kind of harder to do that than they come out originally. But he was always nothing but accepting and loving, and in his own quiet way. We didn't even have to talk about things. And I realized that that's why the broken music box was there. Because the rainbow was still intact. And it had that song. And when I was a freshman in high school, my high school put on the play Wizard of Oz. And I was part of a 100-person cast, part of the choir and chorus and all of this. And I was so excited about it. And went off really well. My parents were so proud of me. And all these little things add up to why he kept the music box. Because he has a big love for me. And I have one for him. Which is why there's also a very big hurt. And I struggle not to fill it with things that'll give me superficial happiness. I struggle not to fill it with food or any, other vices. Food's my favorite. But, it doesn't always work. I think we all need some kind of outlet for something like this. I haven't found mine, and it probably won't be found for a while. But for now, I hurt. I feel like I'm going to throw up. And I want a brownie. So, all of these big emotions were brought to you tonight by a little sniff in a music box. Little things that are very big things. Good night.